Okay, so welcome to the GCM Scale Garage. This is our first edition of something that we are calling ScaleTalk. And in this episode here, we want to talk about inspiration for our hobby. And basically, we love all your comments and feedback. We got tons of suggestions of good stuff we're going to do in future shows already. And this one was in the works. So I want to welcome to the ScaleTalk bench here, Dana.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Ryan.
You really have to talk that loud?
Oh, you don't have to talk that loud, but you gotta talk loud.
Good enough.
Yeah, because the guys out there, they're doing their dremeling while they're, playing while they're listening to the video, so they can't hear it unless you're loud.
All right, gotcha.
So, okay. Today we want to deal with inspiration, and as you can see, we piled a bunch of stuff on the bench, and I don't know, like I came into RC because my dad got me in, and I loved flying and stuff, and then when sort of the hobby turned a corner for me, I decided I wanted to move towards more scale, and then I got into like really trying to develop the stuff that I saw and loved as a kid and stuff that I saw and loved as an adult, so I'm a young adult. So this is really what this show is about. And we've got a whole bunch of stuff here that actually has significance to these guys and to me about the stuff that we get our inspiration from. So today we're just going to talk about that. And I mean, how did you get started in RC?
Well, I got started in RC much the same way at a young age. My father was into RC planes, and a big side of that was my father was a bit of gearhead like I am, and he was into racing and NASCAR and so on and so forth. So that sort of spawned airplanes and RC cars at a young age, and it just went from there into later in age where we could sort of as we go along and we get interested in different types of things, and we'll touch on go-karts and Formula One and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
We kind of get inspired by those things.
Yeah.
Therefore, we have the opportunity to create them, and this is what we're doing here.
So I already know the answer to this, but are you a gearhead by any chance?
Slightly, a little bit. A little bit.
And if we ever have the invitation to go to your shop, what kind of stuff might we see at your shop?
Well, we build Honda Civics mainly. We have a Honda Civic in there. It's beside the Dodge Neon. And okay, no. We're currently building a rock bouncer, a V8 powered rock bouncer, and a 2-wheel drive 4-banger race truck. It's like a local Class 7 race truck. It's pretty limited what we can do, but it's just a Ranger with a roll cage.
Yeah.
Pound the snot out of. Good time.
And you have a Facebook page for your shop, right?
Yeah. It's Rocks to Runners.
Rocks to Runners. Link will be below.
I actually just saw a few pics from what he's building, and I'll tell you guys, it's some talent over at this end of the table. It's impressive. His one-to-one stuff is amazing. I mean, I just saw a bunch of pics of the bouncer that he's going to create there, and the tube work is just it's unbelievable. So very impressive. Nice
that's full-size stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking like full-size.
Yeah, amazing stuff.
So.
Well, thanks, guys.
How much? Oh yeah, it's totally incredible.
Yeah.
And that's an inspiration that has affected the way I build trucks, because I've been watching Ryan build these one-to-ones for years, and so I mean that's changed everything for me. And we've had this discussion in the shop many times, right? Building our RC trucks, and you're like, you know what? This suspension is totally wrong. We gotta we gotta fix this right now.
Yeah, do that a lot.
Oh yeah, and not just on the full size, but on the RC stuff too. That's great. How come we have a Formula One car here? Tell me about that.
Well, I go back growing up watching racing on TV with my father and my brother and so on and so forth. It just I loved racing, and I loved Formula One. And the nice thing is that there's a lot of kits out there nowadays that if you have a specific driver or team or a type of racing that you're interested in, there's a good chance that in the hobby side of things, in the hobby grade stuff, you'll be able to find something that you can be inspired by and create. And my favorite driver in F1 is Lewis Hamilton, and lo and behold, Tamiya a few years back when he won the championship, you could build a Tamiya F1 Lewis Hamilton our F1 car, and here it is. So great inspiration, a lot of fun, super scale.
Yeah.
Really good detail. Again, I go back to some of the Tamiya kits are really nice, and so that's why you're seeing Lewis Hamilton's championship car in front of you right now.
So, would you have gone to this without being a Lewis Hamilton fan before?
I would have probably looked at what's available, but being a Lewis Hamilton fan and being an F1 really drew me to that specific car, specific brand, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's why it is what it is.
And you've gone to 1-to-1 full-size formula races.
Yeah, for those, and again, I get to go again this year. I'll have to thank my fiance for that, but. I've been to the race with my father, my brother. I've been to the race with my mother, and the Montreal Grand Prix is incredible.
Yeah.
The sights, the sounds, they're amazing. It's something that every gearhead, as we talked about, should really go to. Even if you're not a fan, if you're one of those diehard NASCAR fans or what have you, or a rock bouncer or whatever, you should go to an F1 race. It's unbelievable. And, and then I get to take it home and race it around. So it's a lot of fun, so it's great.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
And then you and I both got into this kart thing.
Yeah.
Which is a bit your fault too, isn't it?
I would think so. If you walk into my house, I literally have a go-kart, life-size go-kart hanging off my wall in my dining room or my living room. But I used to race. My brother and I have raced. This one that you're holding, the one with the white and green, number 42, is an exact duplicate of my brother's kart that he raced in the Western Canadian Series. So I'd go to BC and do a lot of racing and done some local racing here. And again, I talked about the F1 car here. Lo and behold, we've got an RC car that we can create and be inspired by. So
I remember when I first saw these karts available at Hobby King. I sent you the link for that, I think, and I wanted one so bad because it was cool. And then he wanted one so bad because he could build an exact replica of what he actually had driven. So I mean, you can't deal with more inspiration than that.
And with that, we had a nice spot to race in too.
We sure did.
We could do a little bit of basement racing at my house, so it was a lot of fun racing those things around.
Oh yeah. And tell me about your rock bouncer in progress here.
The whammer.
The whammer.
The whammer.
So this is. If it's a whammer, look at the travel.
Look at the dirt.
So this is driven hard, put away wet?
Put away wet, broken. It gets driven till it breaks and then it gets shoved in a bag and stuck in the corner. It's pretty much just beaten.
And this is a what?
Yeah, I was just about to ask. I think I know my RC stuff, but I've never heard of a whammer, so maybe you can enlighten us on what a whammer is.
Alright, well this is actually a twin hammers underneath. The main chassis and all the suspension components are from a Vatera twin hammers.
Yeah.
Oh, obviously I've added the GCM shock towers and front plate and some rear end suspension stuff from GCM. And then I put a Wraith roll cage on it.
Now I can see it for sure.
Yeah,
that's great.
So,
Nice.
So yeah, it's a twin hammers that was souped up as a twin hammers, and then I got bored of the little tiny buggy that it was because you couldn't really make it scale. So then I added the Wraith roll cage, and then that inspired the interior, which is actually the GCM Racing Twin Hammers interior.
Yeah.
Modified to work. Then I've got my little Bob McKenzie in here, and my best buddy that I RC with all the time, he's got Doug McKenzie driving his Wraith.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
And so we've got the two of them there, and then we actually took the time to design this new roof and fastback with a spare tire carrier.
Oh wow.
Let me show that off here.
Yeah, we designed that with the help of GCM and managed to make one really cool rig. It's got GCM racing beadlocks and those obviously big RC 4-wheel drive Mickey Thompsons.
Sweet.
And just a little front bumper that I made myself because the Wraith one kept breaking. But
yeah,
it takes a beating. Well, it's broken right now. Actually, I've got a broken CV in the front.
Yeah. There you go.
So it'll get fixed next time the battery charges.
3-wheel drive.
Yeah, and actually I was encouraged by Chris to go to a locked front end so I could crawl, but this truck just gets jumped and launched and bounced up everything. And when I take it apart to put the new CV in, I'll probably go back to the open front diff because I didn't break anything with it, and I managed to still go pretty much everywhere I wanted to.
There's still a leaf in there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't squeeze the tires because I'm sure Blakeney mud will come out.
Oh,
and,
sweet.
And a lot of local water.
Bunch of swamp in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good news.
Yeah.
So you've got locked in the back.
Yeah, that's factory that.
You prefer unlocked in the front.
Yes.
On the RC.
Yeah.
But your full size, isn't it the other way around?
Yeah, on my rock bouncer, it's welded in the front.
Okay.
and then it's a limited slip in the rear, but it's really tight, and it kicks in pretty much instantaneously. But we actually have dig in our full size.
Yeah,
rig.
yeah.
So having the open rear diff makes turning with the dig a lot easier, and it works a lot better in the bush in tight spaces.
So what's dig? That's something I'm not sure about.
All right, so with older gear-driven transfer cases, and you can actually buy disconnect kits for smaller vehicles like Suzuki's and whatnot, and Toyotas. But it actually, you just disconnect or neutral the rear drive.
Okay.
So the rear axle is in neutral, and you have front-wheel drive. Now there's videos on
interesting.
Yeah, there's videos on YouTube of even Honda Civic drivers. They'll
Yeah.
they'll back into a spot, pull the U-brake, and then they'll swing the front end over, and parallel park that way.
Okay.
And it basically allows you to do 90-degree corners in tight confined spaces.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And you know, you and I have, well, the three of us have done some off-roading, and I'm telling you, Ryan here is his talent when it comes to either full size. I haven't seen him done any full size, but when it comes to these 1/10 buggies, he's incredible. I mean, he can drive anything, and he certainly should show up for the East Coast Scale Comp this year because I think he might clean up with his talents when it comes to the off-road stuff.
So that's 2 votes for you to come.
Yeah, I just gotta clear that with the head of the household.
Of course, it's funny you should say that too because. You know, and we're talking about inspiration.
Yeah.
We most of us either have wives, girlfriends, or fiancés out there, and a great way to get them into the hobby is pending on what they're riding around in. You know, you may have an opportunity to duplicate what they're riding around 1-to-1.
Yeah.
And maybe create something for them or let them create it, and then all of a sudden, they're in the hobby and they're appreciating it along with you. And that's what I did with this Honda Fit from ABC Hobbies.
Yeah.
Is my fiance's car. It's in its exact duplicate. This is the Honda Fit, and to keep her interested in the hobby and sort of keep me going at the pace that I want to go at in the hobby. It doesn't hurt to create something that she could appreciate and what have you. So this is what I created for her, and she occasionally comes down to the basement racing and goes around with me, and we have a lot of fun. So yeah, it's a lot.
And this is all legit too, right? Because you got a lady driver.
Yeah.
It's a front drive car.
Yeah.
On an MO3, MO5.
MO5. Tamiya, yeah, of course.
And then her car has the whole aero package on it as well. So
Yeah.
this is a legit scale replica right here.
And of course, I've got a girl figure in there. I think it's Harkness or something like that from
Harkness, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know her name.
Yeah. Anyways, so there it is, Honda Fit, a duplicate of my fiance's car, and I hope she appreciates that. Anyways. I do. I like it.
Looks good in the collection.
And we're talking about inspiration. This certainly inspired me to make that. So.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see you as building a Honda Fit for yourself.
No. I'm more into the karts and buggies and truggies and F1 cars and off-roaders and of course.
Does anybody know why we have a brown Chevette on the table?
Well, again, 1-to-1. Believe it or not, guys, I've got a 1981 Chevette with wood paneling out there, and this all starts at a young age making these models, and so I found this. Actually, my fiance found this on eBay, and so we got it and we built it, and you know, again, inspiration. My real car, which is my sort of summer car. It's odd that you would have a Chevette as a summer car, but they tend to rust. But yeah, so you know, you can build a model. There you go. You know, I've got a Chevette model that's a duplicate of what I've got 1-to-1, and you know, I would love to find a Chevette RC body of like a 112 scale or 110 scale.
Yeah, yeah.
I would love to find that.
Yeah.
And build that up. But sometimes, you know, you got to go into the model side of things or the RC side of things to get what inspires you.
Or sometimes you just have to put it together yourself.
Good point. Very good point. Absolutely.
So you got a project on the go right now
Yeah.
that nobody can buy.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of got two going on.
Right.
Because we're going to be building. I'm building a full-size rock bouncer. My buddy's building his full-size race truck, and I've got it in my head now to build a full-size or a 1/10 scale bouncer.
Yeah.
As well as to build a 1/10 scale two-wheel drive race truck.
Sweet.
So we can make our own mini twin I-beam, and because actually, what I got into RC was I owned a Sidekick.
That's right.
I owned a Suzuki Sidekick for a while and off-roaded the crap out of it.
Yes, you did.
and I always dreamed about doing a solid axle swap on that Sidekick. So after I got bored of RC competition, doing crawler competitions, I got into the scale side of things. And that's actually how I met you.
Yeah.
And I built a scale version of my Sidekick with a solid axle swap.
You sure did.
And so then we built a really detailed miniature 1/10 scale. Actually, I believe the Proline Descender body was like 1/6 or something. We had to do some really oddball stuff, and I had a driver that was just humongous, and we spent a lot of time building it, and I ended up, I could afford to build the RC, but I couldn't afford to build up the Sidekick. So I got halfway done the Sidekick, and then somebody offered me some money for the roll cage that I had built, and I sold it. And then the RC sold shortly after because it was complete and it was really badass, so somebody actually really wanted it.
Oh, it was awesome.
And so I've always been very give and take. Like, I'll start a project full size and then I'll build a scale version of it.
Yeah.
And I use, you know, as odd as it sounds, if you can keep the weight proportion of the chassis and the axles and everything kind of balanced out, you can actually design really, really close to functioning suspensions in RC, and then take them to full size and actually expect them to work. And that's what we did with the Sidekick originally. It was the very first time. And
I remember that.
And it was almost perfect.
Yep.
And so I do that still now. I'll build a full size and I'll build a miniature, like last year.
Yeah.
I built 2 or 3 versions of my Ranger buggy.
Yeah.
Full it's been an ongoing process for that one, but it was a full size, and then it got cut apart, and then we built it up again, and then it got cut apart, and then it built it up again. And every single time I took the full size and cut it up, I made the RC and cut it up.
Yeah.
And right now we're building a really detailed 1/10 scale rock bouncer, and it's gonna take a long time, but it should be pretty neat.
So, are you gonna put updates on the Rockstar Runners page?
Well, we haven't really brought the RC stuff over there yet.
Yeah.
But that's mainly because we haven't done any RC since we started the page.
Right.
So that's that's what's happening there. But like I said, this thing's been sitting in a bag for a couple months and just hasn't been touched because we've been focusing on the full sizes so much.
Oh yeah. There's I've got videos of the Sidekick custom build, the RC build, which I will link below in the video. And you painted it bright orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got pictures of it and videos of it, and I'll link them down below so you can have a look in the comments for that, and have a look at that thing. It was amazing, totally amazing, and it performed great. And I think I remember it having a fire.
Yeah, it caught fire at Hogsback actually.
At Hogsback, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was it the ESC or the servo that caught fire?
It was, actually, what had happened was the spur gear had picked up the servo power leads, which was zip tied to the ESC leads. So it smoked everything at once. One big, nasty short circuit. And it was a pretty good show.
It was. Yeah. Yeah, it's on video.
But yeah, that actually went on to a new owner, and then I think it's gone into a new owner since then, and it's still going strong.
Cool.
You know, it's you guys touched on a few things, but you know what I find amazing about the hobby, and especially nowadays, is the realism and the scale. You know how scale you can create these buggies. You know,
Yeah.
like when you have suppliers out there that are supplying items like GCM and so on and so forth that can really sort of detail whether it be a bouncer or a truggy or a Hilux, a four-wheel drive truck, whatever. The amazing thing is the amount of scale and realism that you can create at a 1/10 scale, and you've got the one-to-ones running around there, and now with today's build techniques and so on and so forth, you can really get down to some really amazing scale projects out there, and that's a big joy for me and a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you have 2 scale rigs here.
Yes, I do.
This one has been used and abused at East Coast Scale Challenge already.
That's correct.
In, was it Class 2? Class 1?
Class 1.
Okay,
Yeah.
Class 1.
Yeah.
And what did you have to do to this truck to get it to the scale level that you wanted?
With a lot of these competitions, you get points for showing up with a truck that looks like the real thing.
Right.
So you can actually gain points, in order to make it scale. So what was done with that K5 Blazer was, full styrene interior, full styrene cab in the back, tons of GCM parts to make it go. Just a lot of time and effort, and there's some vintage parts on there, and then, just some custom work, a combination of things and suppliers there to really make it a capable scale-looking K5. And it did well in the East Coast Challenge. I really enjoyed it, had a lot of fun. That's something that, I'd like to continue to do. And, every year you sort of want to, create something new and sort of one-up the one you did before or the one last year. So, yeah, a lot of fun with that. And I think it came out pretty well with a lot of the styrene stuff I did to it. I like it.
It really looks good.
Thanks.
Actually, one thing I'm going to point out that I think is hilarious and amazing on this rig is the back window.
Oh, yeah. yeah.
In true Chevy fashion,
Yeah.
it's falling crooked.
Yeah. How many K5s or Blazers have you seen with the window that's kind of wearing,
Come off the track.
Yeah, it's true.
You shut the tailgate too hard and it falls out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a big fan of people that cut the windows and make them look like they're half down and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I've done on a couple rigs, but that takes the cake. That's great.
I often thought that all of this tube work that was on the Wraith and Rubicons and all that stuff, I often thought that the tube work was kind of like a little more toward the toy grade side. Hard body was a little more toward the real scale side. But my opinion on that is completely changed now. Because when you go to a garage like this guy's garage and have a look at the Rockstar Runner shop, and they're actually making tube work that looks exactly like that for real, and then you get a design on your scale buggy that's the same design as the full size, it doesn't get more scale than that. So, my opinion of how these trucks are built is completely changed, right? You can do incredible tube work on your Ultra 4 rig or whatever you want to try to modify and get something that looks exactly the same as the full-size component. So hey, scale comes in all shapes and forms.
Sure does.
I'm really happy that we got these hard bodies too, because I'm not much of a bodybuilder, like, as you can see. But
I was going to make the joke. I was going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not really that good with that stuff. So
Right.
styrene work is not my strong point. Design, like something crazy custom, doing full-scale buggies, I'm totally, I got no talent for that amount of artwork. But making a hard body work, that's something I can work on. So I can do little extra details and stuff, but I'm really glad that the hard bodies now are as good as they are, because, like we hit this Hilux, for instance. This is your truck.
Yep.
But when I was a kid, we had a 1981 pitch black Hilux that looked exactly like this truck, and that was our farm truck, 1981 Hilux. I remember when the Bruiser first showed up on the market, the Tamiya Bruiser.
Right.
I was like, I have got to have that truck because it was exactly the same as the one we had. You know, I figured, okay, so I'll shoot it black with paint. I can do that. I'll have an exact replica of what we had at the farm, right? Except, of course, I think I was probably like 8 years old, and I could never have afforded that truck at all. So it was just a pipe dream, you know. And it's to now be able to build a full replica like what you've got here. I think that's great.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're a lot of fun. I mean, my inspiration for the Hilux, much like, well, it was slightly different. You know, who didn't watch Back to the Future, right? And the black Hilux that's in Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, this obviously isn't a black Hilux, but you know, the great thing is you can create and make your own.
Yeah.
But be inspired by something that, you know, you see from a movie, or whether it be a work truck or a company truck or a one-to-one rock buggy. You know, all those things are inspiring us to create such amazing vehicles. And again, I go back to the scaleism. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
And now, of course, with the Scale hard bodies now, we've also got these incredible Scale tires, right?
Yeah.
You know, that look like the real thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a set of Mickey Thompsons on my Hilux. Like, that's just amazing, you know.
Well, they're everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You got, of course, you need slicks on these on roads, the track cars. There's a set of BFGs right here on this, ready to go.
Yeah, just amazing.
The actual Baja Claw on the Whammer, you know. So that really adds to it.
Sure does.
Yeah, actually, I think the first Scale truck I built was running on flat irons.
Yeah,
And
I remember that.
That was the most disappointing thing about building a Scale truck at that point in time. Was a flat iron was what you could get, and it was brutal. You know, like we would switch from flat irons to 2.2 hammers, pro-line hammers.
That's right.
Because they worked better. They looked terrible at like, you know, weren't anywhere near Scale, but they worked better. And the flat iron was the closest thing you could get to a Scale tire, and just wasn't worth running. And then Proline released the True Swampers, and like that was a huge step up from anything RC 4-wheel drive had done at that point.
That's right.
Because they had a wicked winning compound, and it was a G8 compound at the time, and it was an amazing Scale tire. And then RC 4-wheel drive, they're stepped their game up, and they've got like 100 options now, which is
it's great.
And you know, when you speak of tires, you also speak of wheels, right? Like, who didn't remember the 5 slots in the 80s? I mean, now you can go to GCM and get these incredible 5 slots that, you know, just you can really set off a truck, especially like a Hilux. And, you know, just amazing work, amazing scale, amazing detail. Love these things. You know, I could almost put them on every rig if I could afford it. But, yeah, I mean, wheels and tires, you know, they've come a long way. Everything is just, it's awesome.
And VP's got a line of wheels now that's so Scale. You know, it's just incredible the stuff that they're coming out with. And tiny little hardware for the bead locks that's actually the right size finally. That's great.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do this summer? What are you building this summer? You're building the rock bouncer?
Yeah. Building a full size and a small bouncer, and obviously the race trucks.
The race trucks, yeah.
But what else am I building this summer? I don't know. It's going to be a long summer, lots of stuff to build.
You gonna make any changes to the Whammer?
Oh, to the Whammer? I don't know. I'm thinking about ditching the Wraith body.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, getting rid of the Wraith body. And going, if I can find one, I'd like to actually change this back to a Sidekick. Because, like I said, I had a Sidekick, and as an off-road vehicle, they're incredible.
They are.
They take a hell of a beating, they're light, and they're also IFS, just like the Hammers.
Right.
Which, you know, up until the Hammers came out, I really don't think anybody did a 4-wheel drive IFS justice.
No.
Like, Axial did the Exo buggy, and it's great, other than the fact that it's 13 inches wide.
Oh, it's huge.
And you can't put a body over it and make it look right.
No, it's huge.
But if I can get my hands on a Proline Descender body, and I mean, like, if somebody out there has one, get a hold of him, and he'll get a hold of me, so I can get it, because I would
need one.
Yeah, I would love to build this into a little Sidekick, just to have as a beater.
And not the 1/18 size. You want the 1/10 size.
Yeah, the 1/10 size.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think the wheelbase even matches up perfect, because I think it's like 11.5 inches on that body.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah. It's way out of scale, though. It's way too long. But it'll look alright.
Oh yeah.
Just tint the windows so I don't have to put a driver in because the driver will be way too small.
yeah.
Bob's
Yeah.
gonna have a bouncer to go in, so it's all right.
Cool.
Yeah.
What are you building this summer?
Well, I hope to build. Well, I'm working on a clod right now.
Like a clod buster per se?
Yeah, no, God, no. No. I mean, all those Clodbuster fans out there, great monster truck in the 80s for sure.
Yeah.
A little too monster truck for me. Clod body on a skeleton, GCM skeleton chassis, which I just married the two together right now, and
Yeah. And
perfect
well done,
fit.
too.
Oh yeah, it looks great. So I'm building up a Clodbuster, or what body is that? It's an '85 Chevy pickup.
C10? What would you call that truck?
What is that body?
Probably a C10.
C10?
Something.
I really don't know much about Chevy.
Yeah.
No, Chevy half ton.
Yeah, half ton. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm building that up, getting that ready for some comps this summer perhaps.
What class are you going to run that in?
A class 1.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a because it's got. I don't like to get too far away from the scale side of things. And,
Proportionally, you mean?
yeah, like exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna build that up. It's gonna hopefully look pretty nice.
It looks good already.
Well, yeah, it's getting there. Doing a lot of styrene work right now. Just finished the box. This, that, and the other thing. But yeah, that's probably what I'm going to build. Hopefully, we'll do a little bit of flying this summer too.
Oh yeah.
Just this, that, and the other thing. But just be active, have lots of fun. Try to get out there in this nice weather that's coming. Hopefully
Yeah.
soon enough, and
Yeah.
just having lots of fun. What are you working on this summer? You got any?
Well, I build Jeeps.
Yeah, you do. You do build Jeeps.
So, and I can't afford a full-size Jeep, so
Build
I'm
another tomato.
build another tomato.
Build another tomato.
Yeah.
So, the infamous tomato, I'll put a link in the bottom for the videos for the infamous tomato Jeep. And then you'll know what that means.
Best JK ever.
It was super fun. And we ran that JK a bunch with your trucks too, down at the Hogsback.
Yeah.
So I'm building a couple of coil spring JKs, 2 doors. I'm going to build another 4-door this year. I'm going to build a YJ on 4 leafs. And what else am I going to build?
You're gonna build a lot. You have your own hobbies web store. I mean, like what can't you build? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if I had your stock.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be building lots of stuff this summer. I'm
Actually, my building this summer is actually going to get taken up with driving.
sure. Oh, okay.
Because we were starting to talk about the schedule around here. And it's like
Oh yeah.
every 2 weeks there's an event
Yeah.
from basically May all the way through September. So I don't think I'm going to get a lot of building done.
Well, hopefully you get some done to this too back here, because I know you got a lot of stuff coming in, and that Scale Garage is
Yeah,
really starting to look nice. So.
The Scale Garage is getting a good ramp up too. I've got a bunch of stuff on the build bench right over there that I've been working on, and I ordered up a bunch of fantastic accessories from some of these guys that are building Scale Garage, 1/10 Scale Garage accessories. So you'll see a video on that really soon, by the way, because those parts are all coming in.
Yeah. Your garage is way too clean,
It's too clean.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like you gotta come over to my shop and grab a handful of rust dust off the floor
That's it.
from the grinder
Yeah.
and just sprinkle it out there.
Yeah.
So you all heard that, right? That was an invitation for us to go to his shop. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I'll give you a formal one if you like.
Okay, give us a formal invitation.
I formally invite Chris and Dana to come tour the shop anytime you want.
Yeah, we should tour the shop, and do a little bit of do a video.
We need to. We'll do that.
Yeah, it's got some good stuff there.
Yeah. And I'll make sure that that my buddy Ozzy, who's building the race truck, I'll make sure he's there,
Oh yeah.
because he's got like some real good insight into the full size stuff. He's been driving and smashing stuff like I have for a long time. So.
Yeah, I've seen him.
So and obviously I wouldn't want to talk about his truck. It is his after all, and I'll get him to bring his Wraith out too, so we can all poke fun at that.
Oh good.
It's broken too, I'm sure.
Oh good. Last year you built a huge course outdoors, for the off-road, 1/10 off-road.
Oh yeah. I rented a farm, and with the farm was a huge barn that we got to work in, but it was a muddy floor. It was just a miserable place to work. So we ended up spending most of our shop time in our backyard working on this great, big, natural bedrock course that we collected rocks from the fields and anywhere we could find
Oh,
rocks,
yeah.
side of the road,
Logs.
yeah, anything we could find. We just littered this natural bedrock face with all this stuff, and it was a huge course. Like we could have
It was
had,
huge.
we could have had like 10 competition courses on this one section, and it was pretty nice. Unfortunately, they wouldn't let us get a dog. We really wanted a dog, so we moved. But now, where I live now, actually is fronts on a ravine that no one owns any of, so we can totally play there if we want.
Well, that's a
Oh,
great
sweet.
idea. Yeah, it's going to be a good summer, guys.
It is.
It's going to be a really good summer.
Yeah. So we've got a bunch of Scale Garage videos coming up. We got a tour of the Rockstar Runner shop.
We have a tour of the basement racing series.
We're gonna.
coming up.
So is that a formal invitation?
Absolutely. You know, I'm sure you guys, if you're following GCM, have seen a couple of the basement racing series. But I'd like, you know, I think we'll do a couple vids there.
Okay.
And yeah, sure, we'll do a tour of the racing. And you know, just the other day we went up and did some racing up at Petawawa, and the guys down there, are up there, doing some racing. So yeah, we'll certainly have you over, and we'll do some fun down there.
Would you be okay with me bringing the
Yeah,
hammer?
you can crawl over everything if you want, including the cars and so on and so forth.
Well, I'll race. If you'll let me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
You were the only one who could pull that off,
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you probably win too, right?
Yeah, you probably would.
Yeah,
But
good
it
time.
is a 2-speed.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's lots coming up, and I'm definitely inspired also by my fellow builders. Not just the full-size stuff, but like, I don't think I ever would have gone as deep in the scale details until I met this guy. Because when we met, he was already building stuff like this beauty right here. And many, many others. And his work was an inspiration for me to step it up a few paces. And the same with Ryan. I think my trucks and my suspension were sort of kind of middle of the road, until you came around and you said, you know what, you need to 4-link this better, and you need to do all kinds of stuff to make that work.
Well, yeah, I think originally your trucks, I was always amazed by the performance of your trucks until I picked them up. It was like, oh my god, that thing's glued to the rocks. But that's because it's 10 pounds. The best performing truck you had was as in my humble opinion, was the green Brute, JK Brute that you built.
Oh yeah.
And there's actually, I think you have a video of that.
I'll put the video below.
Yeah, he should build another one, by the way.
It's on a 70-degree slick rock face, and it just sits there. It's not gaining traction, but it's not losing traction. It just hovers halfway up this rock. Tires slowly working. And if it wasn't for the Johnson drill motors,
yeah,
that it never would have worked the way it did. It was just so incredibly heavy that it performed based on weight. But once you changed out your suspensions, all your trucks got a lot lighter. Like your like even now your Raven, it's a fully scaled, decked out rig, and it's lighter than your Brute.
Yeah, it is.
And it performs awesome just through trial and error suspensions and working through things.
Yeah, and I used to run like 5,000 milliamp 2-cell batteries.
Yeah.
And I think I'm down to a 2200 2-cell.
Yeah.
Or a 1300 3-cell, like tiny little batteries that weigh hardly anything, and you can fit them almost anywhere in the rig. And the rigs are way lighter, like you say, and they still perform awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, the great thing about this hobby, and, you look at us, I mean, you credit me to sort of bringing the scale up.
Oh, yeah.
And you credit Ryan for the, his knowledge in four-wheel drive and setup and suspension. And that's a good point. Like, get involved.
Yeah.
Join a club. Get on the web. Find those web stores that are out there. Join a forum. Find someone in a field who's got a car that's racing around. I'm sure he wants to talk about it. And, the more people you get involved with, the more people that you meet, it just, adds another layer or another element to the hobby. And a great example is the knowledge in four-wheel drive. The great example is all the GCM products and the years of experience that Chris has, and obviously the detailed building that we all do. It really sort of adds a fun factor that and a lot of great build time that you don't necessarily get if you're just sort of just get out there and have some fun, meet some people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, I wouldn't actually be building, because I build all my rigs around a balance, right?
Okay.
Of drivetrain and powertrain versus the weight of the body, because that hard body that you have on your truck weighs more than the axles underneath the truck,
Right.
which is the exact opposite of real life, and that's something that I never really considered until I started competing in the local rock crawling competitions, because I just showed
And
up.
is this 1-to-1 or is this?
No, this is RC.
Okay. Yeah.
I was on the RCO forums, and there was local competitions held in this little basement course in Gatineau, and I went and I just had an axial ARTR, that orange anodized, almost ready to run that came out. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And I showed up with that, and I didn't have weight in my wheels. It was didn't have the suspension dropped out or anything. It was just thrown together, stock, and just ready to go. I didn't even have my foams cut. And they were like, oh yeah, it's great unless you want to really do something with it. So for 2 weeks, in competition, I struggled pretty hard, and then I took what I knew from full size and a little bit of know-how that I stole off of rccrawler.com.
Yeah.
And I went back and started dominating, and and I ended up building all kinds of competition rigs, and what it really came down to was just a good weight balance. And it wasn't until I got into the scale stuff that I realized it didn't need to be heavy; it just needed to be right.
In the right place.
Yeah, and then that's actually around the same time we got introduced and we started talking about the suspensions with the Brutes and the Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And everything from there, we all got lighter. We stopped putting as much weight in the wheels. Actually, this thing doesn't have any weight in the wheels.
I don't do any weight in my wheels.
Nor do I.
Yeah, I remember I used to put freaking 8 ounces per front tire and 3 in the rear just to make it climb. And then I got MOA bully axles and did all those crazy things. But at the end of the day, you're breaking way more stuff with a 10-pound truck.
Oh yeah.
This thing I think weighs all of 2 pounds and it's got waterlogged wheels. So.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, but it just goes to show that you gotta get out there and you gotta talk to people.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the club environment is where you can learn a lot and get a lot of you draw from other people's experiences too.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to take inspiration from other places, right?
Sure.
I don't just take inspiration from 1-to-1 for my RC, and I don't take inspiration from the existing 1-to-1 world from my full size.
Right.
I actually take a lot of inspiration from nature.
Yeah.
Animals specifically, even mythological animals. For styling and even what I want the vehicle to do. Right. If I want something that is gonna climb a rock face that's insanely well, look at a billy goat, for example.
Right.
Sure.
They're short, they're not too long, they're very stocky, wide stance, but they can climb absolutely anything, right? So it's this thing, for a wraith, it's really, really low, and it's also really, really narrow. It's not a wide rig at all.
Yeah.
But, just taking things into consideration, you want it to be squished down to the ground, you want it to bounce more than you want it to, it's kind of hard to explain how my brain works with inspiration, but it comes from everywhere.
Inspiration comes from many different forms, right?
Yeah.
It just depends on, how you see it.
Right. Well, it's actually, remember that rig that I built before the Sidekick buggy?
Yep.
It was on a GCM chassis, it was all brake line, that really nice thing.
Yeah, you put the chassis on backwards?
Yeah, and that's what started putting the motor plate backwards, remember?
Yeah.
That actually caused the change in the motor plates.
Yeah. That
we ended up starting putting the motors further back than where they were because they had them way up front and it was a pain in the butt. And anyways, that whole cage was inspired by a dragon.
Yeah.
So it's even my current roll cage now on my 1-to-1 bouncer, it was inspired by the idea of a bear. Right? It's big and haunchy and it's got big nostrils coming over the front axle.
Yeah, it does.
And but that's just where it comes from for me. I'll spend a week drawing in a sketchbook animals, and then I'll go to AutoCAD and I'll actually take my drawings of animals and turn them into tube work.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Something.
And your experience from your other builds changed how you build this current buggy too, right? Because I remember you told me when I was over there last time that you'd moved all the seats back
Yeah.
and rearranged the entire layout of the buggy.
Yeah. Well, we'd always built vehicles, really front heavy, and we were under the impression, you keep the motor way up forward and you'll be able to get the front end up and climb up stuff. But going with the bear theme, we made the cage bulkier at the back, moved the seats further back, got a more stable central balance so that, if we want to stand the thing up on the rear wheels, we know we could.
Yeah.
If we want to go down a steep ledge, we just lock the rear end up with the e-brake and it'll just slowly drag off because the weight's back there, it's not over the front, we're not going to roll down a hill.
Right.
And, all kinds of things that play back and forth, right? So, and again, like it all comes down to where you get your inspiration from. A lot of mine is from mistakes. but but like stylizing of rigs, I take from everywhere, nature and one-to-one and stuff like that. Even if you look at the roof of the twin hammers, that I designed.
Oh yeah, you did.
We're actually going to do a video on that, I believe, sometime
We
soon.
sure are.
Yeah, it's every piece of tube work that I designed for the twin hammers buggy is actually snapping turtle, is what inspired it.
Cool.
Yeah, and we'll touch on that in another video, I'm sure. But yeah.
Yeah,
I
we're going to do a rig review on that pretty soon.
Yeah, I take inspiration from things that inspire me in life and put them into buggies and try anyway. Yeah, I know Americans and a lot of other people are like, yeah, let's call it the pussy magnet or whatever, and no, lady killer. No, that doesn't work for me.
Doesn't work for you?
No.
Stick with Rock Bouncer today.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything on the bench and a lot of other stuff. So, I don't even know where to start when it comes to the airplane stuff that you and I are into, because that's a whole different type of building and inspiration, but we'll deal with that in another video.
You bet.
So, hey, you know what? We should do a video out in the field someday.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Fine.
I'm sure this will migrate into many different types of forms and different locations and so on and so forth.
Because we got a whole bunch of aircraft that are in the Scale Club too.
Of course, yeah, of course. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be F1 cars, Hilux,
No.
truggies, buggies. It can be anything you want it to be, really. At some point, it can be, boats. It can be planes. It can be a lot of different things. So. Yeah, just get out there and have some fun with the hobby. It's a great hobby to be in. I love every minute of it. I love socializing with people who have similar interests, and yeah, it's been a whirlwind, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Thanks. Well, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah.
You guys make sure you comment down below and talk about your inspirations for the stuff that you're building and the reason why you want to do what you want to do. Even if you have to make a Honda Fit for your fiance.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so be sure to write your comments down below. Thanks for liking the videos, and that keeps them up in the sidebar, which is really handy. And we're looking forward to a couple of ScaleTalk meets down in the basement garage.
Yep.
The basement racing.
Yep.
At Rockster Runners Garage. And of course, there's lots more coming out of the Scale Garage here at GCM. So thanks again, guys, and we look forward to all your feedback. Cheers.